Hi there. In this video, I'm going to make a case that Quirky made a mistake in not fully prototyping the building toy idea that I submitted to them, and that they were exploring. Quirky did produce some prototypes, but they were made out of paper and were not functional. Why they use paper instead of their CAD machine, I don't know. But this is something that cries out for. When I said CAD machine, I meant a 3D printer. Why they didn't use a 3D printer, I don't know. A CAD and a 3D printer. Here, in essence, I think is the problem. These hubs in this toy idea only become useful when you have a certain number of them. It's a network effect. I don't know whether you ever have heard the story about, the first person who bought a fax machine was an idiot, right? Because they had no one else to fax to. Well, to just build one or two of these is silly, because you can't do anything with one or two of them. You need a bunch of them to start realizing the possibilities. And I do have a bunch here, right? And the ways that these can connect is really interesting and gives this toy its power. So each of the six spokes coming out of the hub can connect to another hub. So that's what we have here. That's one way they can connect, right? And this one could obviously connect to its own hub, right? And you can create interesting structures like that. You can also have one hub connect to another hub with a vertical piece like that, directly vertically. So that's two ways that they can connect. And then there's a third way here where you can have the connection come out of the top or the bottom of a hub and connect to one of the spokes instead of connecting vertically, which then gives you the ability to go off in whole new directions with your building, whatever you're building. So, and since each of these spokes is there's a huge range of positions that they can be placed in, you really have infinite possibilities in what you could build with this toy. But you can only really get a sense of that. I mean, you get some sense of it here because I've modeled out a bunch of hubs in SketchUp. But you can only really get a true sense of what the power is by making 20 or so of these hubs and starting to play with the hubs and the spokes and trying to play with it and see what kind of see what you can do. And I think if Quirky had done that, they would have found that this is really quite a remarkable design for a building toy with absolutely huge potential. Now, Quirky said to me, my representative at Quirky said the designers thought this was too complicated to build, which I find really bizarre, because it basically is, you can do it with 4 unique pieces, right? Or 5 if you decide to use a nut like this. But here are the 4 pieces, right? So here's a hub, and I've exploded it up here. So you need to manufacture this half hub, because both halves of the hubs are identical. So you just need that one piece, right? You need this sphere with a protruding threaded nib, a piece of threaded nib, and you'd probably want to make these in different lengths, but the user could also cut them, and a piece of threaded tube that these units thread into, so you can attach the spokes to to the spheres, or extend these spokes by nesting this threaded piece inside of, using it to connect two of the tubes. But basically, 4 pieces, that's it. And you could, because this is threaded, you could use pieces of this in place of the nut if you didn't want to make a nut, right? So you could just have a small little piece of this that you would tighten to use to tighten, as as shown here, the rod which goes through these 2 pieces of the hub and is used to tighten them down to sort of lock the spokes into the position that you want them to be in. So 4 pieces, 5 if you do this, right? And then down the road you'd probably want hubs that have 5 sockets and 7 sockets, just to increase your flexibility. But for a basic start building toy to prototype this is all you need, right? So a good designer should be able to knock these out quickly in some CAD program and print a bunch of them with a 3D printer. And then you could start to see if the possibilities are as interesting as I think they are. But again, it's very much a network effects thing, right? With only a couple of these, it's hard to see the value. As soon as you get a bunch of them, the way they can network together creates tremendous opportunities to build really interesting structures, which is what the whole idea of the toy was from the beginning. So, I think it's too late. I think Corky's already decided to go, fully decided to go another route. But I just think a huge opportunity was missed here, and I just wanted to make that clear, and to try to make a case for what I think was lost. Thanks for listening.